Okay, so now we're going to remove the steering column, and this is going to be quite a task because this has those breakaway head that I explained to you, those bolts. There's 3 of them. There's 2 here, 1, 2, and 1 right here, which was easy to get to because I just put a pair of vice grips on it and took it off. But on these 2, you can see that there's a piece of metal surrounding it, so you can't really get a pair of vice grips in there to grip those. So what needs to be done, this is the screw, this is the breakaway screw that I removed from underneath the dash. You can see where it's rusted in the middle. That's where the head was that broke off. But I'm going to actually have to take a die grinder and grind a slit across those other 2 around the top so I can get a screwdriver on it and remove it that way. And then of course we have to buy new breakaway bolts when the time comes. Okay, I got the bolt out. The way I remove the bolt is instead of taking a die grinder, I actually just drilled a hole in the center of it and used a small ease out that I had to go inside the hole. When I put the ease out inside there, I was able to unscrew the screw after drilling a hole in the center of the bolt. Got that out, so that'll be on our list of things to purchase new. Steering column cover just has this little clip tube on both sides, so we're going to remove those 2 and this whole assembly should come out. And then once you pull that out, you can see there is your steering rod right there. Goes into that air conditioning box and up into the dash. I'm going to be loosening this bolt here and just leaving this all connected as one unit and taking it off and leaving the rack and pinion in place. So we're going to remove this. We're going to remove this bolt and pull the whole thing out. Okay, we have the bolt removed, and you have to pull the bolt completely out because you can see that the spline on the rack and pinion has a little groove cut in it that the bolt has to go past. So you're not going to be able to pull this out unless you pull the bolt completely out. Pull the steering shaft out of this hole that's in the dash. It takes some doing. You got to really finagle it around this hole because this bracket really takes up a lot of room. But once you turn it around, get it in there, you can pull it out, and then the whole shaft assembly will come out. So now that we have the steering column removed and on the workbench, we're going to disassemble it so we can get it cleaned up and CAD plated and everything. So we're going to be removing the universal joint from the spline and this universal joint here, and remove all the turn signals and the windshield wipers. So we're going to do that right now. So we're going to start with moving the windshield wiper switching mechanism here. There's the switching circuit. There's just 2 small screws on the side. Just going to remove that one. And there's one on the bottom. And then the switch pulls out like so. There's a small star washer on there too, so want to make sure that you don't don't lose that. So that's how you take that one out. Now we're going to do the same thing with the high beam indicator. And then the switch just pulls right out. That's how you remove both of those assemblies. Now we're going to move on and get the universal joints for the steering taken off. That's just a 13mm Once that's pulled out, this will just slide right out. It might take a little bit of hammer to it to knock it out. You'll see once it's pulled out, there's a little spot for the bolt to go through right in there. That way you'll know which way it goes on there. The universal joint really is, there's no right or wrong side on that. It can be either side. So that's how you take that one out. We'll go on to the next one here. Now we have the shaft completely removed from the steering column. And we got right here we have this nice little washer that when it goes up against the firewall, so we want to just, it's glued in there, so we want to just carefully take that off with a screwdriver because we're going to end up putting that back on. There's that washer, or gasket actually, it goes in there. And then there's two C-clips in there. All right, so the shaft, we just pulled the shaft right out of the bottom there, and you can see that inside the steering column there's this little cutaway there and there. That's where the pin goes into when they're for the ignition, it locks in there. So we're just going to take that snap ring off, take this bearing off, and then we can take this shaft in to get cleaned up. Then on the steering wheel side here, where the switches were, there's this little sort of like a bearing that you want that just presses in that tube right there. So you want to make sure to remove that as well too. And then that takes everything off of this. So we're going to get this CAD plated, but then we want to make a note that this part here was painted black to match the dash, but we'll get it all CAD plated first and we'll get that painted black right there.